Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another little project. We're going to build a wooden gate for a fence. Should cost about $25 worth of materials versus like the 100 plus to do a metal gate. This one's going to be just big enough for the lawnmower to go through with a little bit of wiggle room on either side. So I'm doing 6 feet wide and 4 feet tall. Alright, so I've used this chop saw a lot here over the last couple of days. I'm going to check to make sure I'm actually square. I'm going to walk you through that real quick using a square, carpenter's square. I'll show you what I'm doing real quick and we'll start cutting. I'm going to lower the blade down, put my square down. Get it up close to my blade so I can see if it's at 90. Alright, that looks good. I'm just going to check here. Alright, that looks good. I've made multiple cuts with it go in different directions, so that's just making sure that the stops are actually where they need to be. Alright, I've already measured off my first cut here. Made our little lines here at 6 feet, because we need a bottom and a top. Both of those will be 6 feet, and my sides are going to be 4 feet. So we'll go ahead and get this one cut, mark out the next one, and get it cut. Helps when you remember to plug in the saw. Alright, ready to do our 4-foot sections. So we got cut right here. That's going to do right in half of this board. And then we'll have the 4 sides that we need. You can start making the frame for it. Are good. Alright, so I'm using some kind of small wood. It's a 2x3, not a 2x4. It's only an inch difference. They tend to crack more. So I'm going to pre-drill it. And for that, this time around I'm using a 7/64 size drill bit. Because I'm using a 3-inch wood screw that has the little star pattern in it. Again, pre-drilling it is going to hopefully keep this from splitting it and making it weak. So we'll go ahead and do that up here. Make sure that you line it up. You can start the screw in there first and get just a little tiny piece of it sticking out, and then we can line up the first hole. Right. See how that didn't crack? That was exactly how we wanted that done. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and button up these other 2 sides and I'll come back to you with the full box. Alright, so we've got our box built. Our next step here is to measure our diagonal. So we're going to need the piece to go from that corner to this corner, and that helps strengthen everything up for it. Alright. I just remembered something about this though. Because we're doing a diagonal on there, I need to cut one end of this first and then make my measurement and make sure I got the 45-degree angles that I want. Because if I do it now, I'm going to short myself a little bit. So we'll adjust the saw and make our first cut and then measure. Alright, got our first angle, which will now go in the box. Alright, moment of truth, see if we did this right. So that didn't go quite to plan. I guess we're not exactly 45 in any one direction. But I've got one more idea before I give up on that and try a different technique. Right now, this part of it is hitting. So what we can try to do is do a straight cut down on it and take off a little bit of that edge and see if that helps everything butt up better. It won't make it fit perfect, but it should still give it the support that it needs. Alright, so now it's got kind of a weird double angle, but cutting this edge off hopefully allows everything to go up tight. We'll find out right now. Still not quite what I pictured in my head, but it'll work. That's it. Seems to be pretty solid. It's not sagging drastically, so I think we're good. So I've played around with this just a little bit more and found an app on my phone for a level. Found out it's not at 45 degrees, which is why everything was kind of thrown off there. It's actually closer to 35. So I took my little short piece that was left over from the other one, cut a 35-degree angle on it, and now I'm going to use this and support up our remaining stuff. So now this little piece slips in here, and we'll screw it down tight and do another one up here on the top, and it'll brace everything and should make it nice and tight. We're going to do the same thing with the bottom piece here. Alright, so here's our finished product. A couple of days since came out and we're building our gate. Finally got another little break in the weather, so I'm trying to take advantage of that. It gave me a chance to go to a bunch of different stores I think I went to 5 or 6 of them, and I can't find what I was looking for, which was the hinges. So I'm gonna have to make do with what I had, which is that style of screw. And then this just goes over it, and that's your hinge. I was looking for the other style of these that has machine threads, because this is gonna rip up our little wooden gate, I think. So instead, I'm putting these on the gate, and even that's gonna be a little bit tricky. We're gonna have to pre-drill our wood there using a 15/16 drill bit. Or, wow, sorry, that's the wrong size. 15/64. Wanted to explain here how I picked my size for the drill bit, and this is a large one. If I hold that up there next to it, you can see there that the drill bit is actually bigger than the bolt that we're using, meaning the threads here won't catch any of the wood. Now, when we go to a slightly smaller drill bit and line it up like that, you'll see that the threads are there. You can actually see those. This was the size that I chose, this 15/64. And there's just a little bit of the shank of this that you can see past the drill bit, which means that all of the thread here is going to catch wood. So it'll be a good hard bite. And that's how I chose them. Alright, we're going to hold this up. And again, because we're using materials that aren't perfect, we're also going to have to try just using these 2 holes. If I try to use the third one here, I'm either going to hit the screws that are holding these together, or I'm going to split the wood. So we're going to line it up here. Now I have my target for drilling. What I'm doing there is checking how deep I need to go. So this is almost as long as our drill bit. And I'm going to stop just a hair short of that. I grabbed some big washers too to put on there, help distribute the load. Right, got a ratchet with the right size on it. We didn't crack the wood, so I must have picked the right size drill bit for it. That seemed plenty solid enough with just the 2 of them. Alright, I'm going to flip this around, get my other hinge on there. Alright, cut my post to length here. This is the one that's going to go in the ground and support the weight of the fence. Got it measured out for how deep our hole is in the ground, and then I measured where I want my hinges to go. So I've already got them marked out here. Now all I got to do is find the center and drill into them. going to go ahead and thread one of these in a little bit. You'll notice that immediately gets hard to thread in, so we're going to go find a tool to put on it. Maybe a bigger wrench. Alright, that's sliding around all over the place on my sawhorses, so I'm going to tighten that in the rest of the way after I get it in the ground. That should make it a little bit easier. Alright, here's our finished product. That's how the hinges turned out. Yeah, it's zip tied. I seem to have misplaced my staple gun, but I had to get this on and up here today. And put this little latch on here. Just a simple, keep it in there, flip it open. But it should be secure enough to keep my dog in. Pretty happy with how it turned out, and hope you guys enjoyed it and gave you some ideas for one of your own.